Hello everybody, it's time to take on the second mission of the tutorial campaign and the introduction to this whole game. Now a lot of you have been pointing out that I have the audio quite low, and that's a perfectly valid thing to talk about, but I'm going to explain to you now why it's so low.
Peons can harvest gold from gold mines, such as the one located here. To begin
Yeah, in the tutorial... hang on. In the tutorial we got this dude who just tells you how to do every single thing, and you know what, that's my job. I'm supposed to explain stuff. So, yeah. What he was saying was we need to collect gold and lumber. You'll see in the upper right we have our gold, we have our lumber, we have our food too, and you'll notice it just went up because the tutorial decided to give me 3 more peons. So I'm going to have them all harvest gold, and I'm going to train another peon. It costs 90 gold, as you can see. Once I get that 90 gold up there, it's like, boom, I have enough. I'm training a 5th peon because gold mines are meant to be harvested by 5 workers at once. That's how you get the most efficient use out of the gold mine. So if you have more than that, they kind of bunch up. Like, you see how they're sometimes one's kind of waiting right there? You end up getting that, like, a lot. It's good to have one kind of always waiting, because then it means you always have somebody ready to dive right in as soon as it's open. Any less than that, you're not getting gold as fast as you need to. And, you know, this game's pretty competitive, and you gotta keep up with it. You gotta have as much of an economy going for you as possible, because if the other player is out managing your economy, then you're done. So what we need to be doing, if you click quests, it said so at the start, we need to build a burrow, a war mill, a barracks, and train 5 grunts. So what I'm going to do instead of all that is I'm going to start with the war mill, because the war mill is the lumber building, which is our second resource. And we need, if we're building a whole bunch of stuff, then we're going to be going through a lot of our lumber really quickly. So we need to be harvesting lumber at a good rate. So you notice how the peons, they harvest from the gold mine and then take it back to the town hall. Now if I wanted to, I could have this peon go and chop these trees over here, and then they would take the lumber back to that guy, or back to, not that guy, he doesn't care about it, back to the Great Hall. Instead, we're going to harvest over here, and they can drop it off at the war mill, and the war mill kind of acts as a closer point to pick up the trees. So, unlike gold, you can pretty much have as many peons as you want harvesting lumber. So what I'm going to do is be a little bit inefficient about this and get a whole bunch of peons going so that I can harvest lumber really fast, so I can beat this mission really fast. Normally, you know, every peon that you use eats up a unit of food, and every unit of food that you're using on peons is a unit of food that you could be using on, you know, combat units instead. So you want to be pretty sparing with the number of peons you have and just get as many as you need. So what I'm going to do now is build that barracks. As you can see, it requires 260 gold and 70 trees. And, oh, it's telling me something about upgrades. Anyway, so the barracks is where we train our very first units, which in this first mission all we'll have is grunts, and we need to train 5 of them. So what they were saying earlier about upgrades is when you click on the war mill, this is one of our basic upgrade things, and we can hit upgrade to steel melee weapons, which means that any unit that uses melee weapons will have a little bit of an increased damage. So let's go ahead and buy that upgrade. And it takes a very long time to research upgrades, so we won't see any of the benefits of that very much. And the upgrades don't even really do that much of an upgrade on an individual units basis. But as you start to get more and more upgrades, you get kind of this multiplicative effect across your whole army, where they really start to add up once you get 20, 30, well, maybe not any more than 30 units. Anyway, as you can see, I have a lot of peons going right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build an orc burrow as our next thing, because that's what we have to build. Burrows are a very interesting structure. I'm not going to talk about them too much, but they increase your food, so they basically are little farms. As you can see right here, every grunt that we train costs money, and it has a little chicken leg icon, which means that's how much food it's going to cost. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to build a second barracks. As you can see, the barracks can only train 1 unit at a time, even if it has this big old queue. If you get 2 barracks going, you can train 2 units at a time. And if you get 3, then you probably are being a little inefficient. So here's going to be our first melee unit. As you can see, our steel weapons upgrade has already been purchased because there's a little 1 there. And I can't really show you what the effect of that was compared to the old way, but oh well. So I'm going to move this grunt over here, and for the future reference, I'm going to right-click on Thrall, which means that all of my grunts that I make will just run immediately to him, and that way I can have them kind of follow him, and I don't have to micromanage my units too much. They can just kind of follow him wherever he goes. And grunts are really expensive, wow. Anyway, so we need to train up 5 of these grunts so that we can start to... I don't know what's going to happen. I think they build the humans build a bridge and try to fight me IRL, but you know, I'm gonna beat them up because I have Thrall on my side. Anyway, might as well explain a little bit of plot while we wait for these units to finish. So, in Warcraft 2, after the humans and the orcs fight it out, you know, the humans basically win. Spoiler alert for Warcraft 2. And the end result is that they trap all of the orcs inside internment camps, and what happens in these internment camps is that the orcs lose their demonic influences and they become less evil and just become more like shamanistic. Like what I was saying in the previous episode where I talked about how they became shamanistic. Now you know. So they kind of return to their roots. They find themselves, they mellow out a little bit. But then they're like, hey, being in internment camps kind of sucks. We don't like it that much. So they start to kind of do these little uprisings where they break out of the internment camps. And, you know, Grom, Hellscream, and Thrall meet up to go ahead and break out of the internment camps once and for all.
You orcs are in violation of the Alliance Internment Act. We've already captured one of your leaders. If you surrender now, we'll spare your lives.
War Chief, they say they've captured one of our leaders. Maybe they're referring to Grom.
I hope not. But if they have captured Hellscream, I'll make them regret it. Loktar Ogar! Come, my warriors! We must drive the humans back!
So as you can see, the humans don't really care much for your whole breaking out of the internment camps thing. Can't imagine why they would have a problem with that. I mean, it's just, we're just breaking out of prison is all. And, you know, it's not like orcs have killed a whole bunch of humans in the past or anything like that. So, they clearly have already captured Grom. They're holding him in one of those cages. And we're going to go ahead and bust him out. Also, Loktar Ogar is kind of one of those things that just basically means like, hey, let's go beat him up, in so many words. So, they built this bridge. What we're going to do is start crossing it. But first, I'm going to go ahead and use a hotkey group. And that means whenever I have other units selected, like Thrall, I can hit 0, and I have buildings queued up. That way, when I'm out fighting, I can just kind of click on the grunts and have a constant stream of new soldiers, new people with which to fight. So this guy, we need more orc burrows because we're quickly running up against our maximum number of grunts we can have. And that's no fun. We want to have a big old army full of many, many deadly, horrible, green-skinned monsters from another planet. Oh yeah, that's right. Orcs came from space. They're not space orcs, but they still came from space. So, we're just gonna go around here pillaging the countryside looking for guard towers. These are scout towers, so they can't actually attack you. So, usually with the human towers, they can be upgraded from scout tower. Why am I doing that? They're not even attacking them. I was just kind of on autopilot. They have no ability to attack. The scout towers can be upgraded to be cannon or arrow towers, and those guys kind of hurt. And I think we're going to be facing some of them pretty soon. But these scout towers, they don't do much of nothing. Ah, here's my first batch of new grunts. Let's queue up some more since I have the gold. Now, normally what I like to do is have some better hotkeying of my various control groups here, so I'd have all of my grunts in one group together, and so I'd just assign them one task at a time, and then I would have my spellcaster Thrall, he'd be in another group, and then I'd have other spellcasters in other groups. But right now I'm feeling a little bit lazy, and it's not really all that warranted for this mission to be too crazy with the control. And, you know, the less amount of time I spend thinking about doing things like playing the game well or anything like that is time that I can spend talking to you folks and making everybody happy. But that time has come to an end because I now have a spellcaster. So what I'm going to do is group up all my grunts, and actually I'm going to have Thrall as group 1 because he's my hero. I'll have group 2 be my grunts, and group 3 is the shaman because he's a spellcaster and he's ranged. So the general way that I like to kind of order my units around is my melee units kind of hold the front line. So what they do is I just have them kind of generally attack as many people as possible so that they can't reach my more squishy guys like my hero or my shaman here. Shamans do more damage. Nope, they don't do more damage. Usually they would, but apparently not in... Apparently I don't remember the orcs as well as I thought I did. So, disregard that. I don't know what I'm talking about. But, oh, they do more damage because they have a piercing attack. Okay, re-regard that. I do know what I'm talking about. Haha! It's been a while. So, they have the normal attack type, which is just kind of like the baseline. Shamans have the piercing attack type, as you can see, and they do... Their attack pierces through armor. That's the way it works. But they also, you know, the grunts have medium armor, and the shamans, they have light armor, so they don't like it when they get hurt. They're too squishy, but they do more damage. Let's quickly chain up some burrows. I can hold shift and click to queue up buildings instead of having to specify every single one that I want. And let's fight these guys. If you're wondering, Thrall has hero armor, which is basically super armor, and there are other armor types that we'll see as they come up in the game. So even though I have a pretty big group of grunts right now, it's still in my best interest to do the whole running them away thing, and I think I accidentally overwrote my Thrall group. It's still good to run them away because the orcs don't really have a good way of healing their guys, so once somebody's hurt, they're hurt like that basically for forever. Now, they do get better ways, but we're not going to see that this early on in the game. And these guys hurt a lot. They're knights. Knights have bigger swords, they do more damage, they are also a lot faster than usual units because they ride on ponies, and I don't have any ponies. But we'll of course get our big nasty troops too. And here's another fun thing. I have too many grunts to store in one group with the addition of this bro. So let's keep adding more grunts. That's not the end of the world. It just means that we will have a group. Our second group will be grunts. Our third group will be grunts, and our fourth group will be the ranged guys. So that we now have a huge army, so big that I can barely even keep track of what was going on. And in all this fun, I completely forgot to actually show off the whole point of the shamans, and that is they have a purge ability, which makes units do... Okay, they're getting hurt. As you can see, he does not take the damage nearly as well as the grunts do. The purge is a spell that makes units slower, it makes them attack slower, it makes them move slower, and stop hitting my guy. Stop hitting that guy either. No, I guess Thrall can take more damage. You normally don't want your heroes to take a whole lot of damage, but it kind of doesn't really matter when you're facing against double scout tower or guard towers. Although shamans should not be taking damage. That's no good. Anyway, with this last tower down, I believe that's going to end this mission. I feel like we've barely begun, but say goodbye to the orcs, because after this little cutscene, we're not going to see them for a while.
Grom, are you alright? I'm fine, little brother. Luckily, they only injured my pride. Great, because we're getting out of here now. We're leaving the human lands for good. Finally, follow me. I have an idea. We can set sail on the humans' own ships. Perfect. But we'll need to wait for the rest of the Horde.
The Horde is assembled, Warchief. We await only your command.
Now, go, young thrall. Sail west to the lands of Kalimdor. It is there that you will find your destiny. It is there that your people's salvation will be assured.
And that wraps up the entire tutorial, and that wraps up the orc campaign. For now, we'll come back to him. Don't you worry, guys. This not, and gals. It's not the end of the orcs. It's not the end of the orcs. But up next, humans. Thank you all for